All right, Shalom. First foremost, want to give all praises unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Makakudash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, the time of this truth. And Shalom to the hopeful elect, the Akim and the Akwa scattered around the four corners of the globe. All right, the Israelite foreigners, okay, the Gentiles that the scriptures speak of, all right, who ultimately, all right, their lineage goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right, and through the spirit, through the prophecies, who we know are Israelites, Shalom. And briefly, in this lesson, I'll entitle it Spiritual Soft Skills, Self-Regulation. And through the spirit, this is actually a series, if you will, that through the spirit, the Lord just put on my spirit that I've been wanting to do for a while. But got the green light through the spirit at camp recently because one of the elders had brought out a really good point. All right, a really good point dealing with order. Okay, going into there being levels to this truth. All right, there being an actual body. All right, that the Lord has set up in these latter days. All right, and every body, all right, has a head. All right, every body has leaders. Has levels to it, and this truth is no different. You know what I mean? This truth is not a free for all. It's not a come and do whatever you want. This is something that is much bigger than us. All right, and there's a certain order to this thing. The order is very important when you read the scriptures. And what comes with that is spiritual you know attributes, okay, or soft skills, as they're termed in the world, that we have to have, as we, come into this thing and as we conform our minds, to the mind of Yahweh Shai, So without further ado, what I'm gonna do in this lesson, I'm gonna play the bit of camp, where the elder is going into this and through the spirit, I'm just gonna make some commentary. And then also I want to dive into this word soft skill, before we get started. All right. I'll go to investopedia.com. It says soft skills. It says soft skills are character traits and interpersonal skills that characterize a person's relationships with other people. In the workplace, soft skills are considered to be a complement to hard skills, which refer to a person's knowledge and occupational skills, right? And this truth is all right, is a workplace. The camp is a workplace, and we are, you know, accomplishing, the job that the Heavenly Father commissioned us to do, all right, which is go on to the highways and byways, all right, and teach this truth. All right, teach this truth, preach the gospel, all right, you know, to cast out this net, which is the word, all right, and gather, Lord will gather the elect of the nation of Israel so that we can get out of here. All right, that is the mission, to eat the whole roll and to go teach, you know, no more, no less. That's and everything that comes with that, you know. But as we do that, again, there are certain soft skills that the Lord, is developing in us, and the whole point of this series is to kind of point those out, and to analyze them, So Lord willing, this video and this series is edifying. This will probably be the first of many, Lord will. All right, but let me keep going in the definition. It says sociologists may use the term soft skill to describe a person's emotional intelligence quotient as opposed to intelligence quotient. So that's interesting. Let me keep reading, right? Because the scriptures talk about, knowledge puffeth up. Let me get that. Let me get that real quick. Um, Let me get that. Knowledge puffeth up, but charity edifieth. I don't wanna. I wanna just for edification. All right, this is 1 Corinthians 8:1. All right, and the point is really in the latter half of the verse. It says, "Now as touching things offered unto idols, we know that we all have knowledge. Knowledge puffeth up, but charity edifieth." All right, charity edifieth. Okay, so it's one thing to be knowledgeable. All right, to have a lot of intellect. All right, that's one thing, but how beneficial is that really to the body? All right, this is really all about the body, and that's why Paul was so heavy on charity. And let me get that word charity, agape, right? It says affection, goodwill, all right, brotherly love, all right. So, that's really what we're looking to give, in this truth. And a lot of times, in order to do that, it requires us to deny ourselves completely, and that's why Yahushua mentioned that in Luke, the ninth chapter. I had that. Let me grab that real quick. It says, Luke 9:23, it says, "And he said to them all, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me." All right. So that ego demon, has got to go and has got to be kept in check at all times. You know what I mean? Because that ego demon is a beast. All right. That pride demon is a beast, and in order to follow Yahweh Shai, all right, that has to be neutralized, man. That's got to be something that we're constantly, you know, double checking, triple checking, to make sure that it's subdued, you know. So let me go back to the soft skill definition, then I'm gonna get to the video. Um, it says soft skills have more to do with who people are rather than what they know. As such, they encompass the character traits that decide how well one interacts with others and usually are a definite part of an individual's personality. All right. It says soft skills include attributes and personality traits that help employees interact with others and succeed in the workplace. Examples of soft skills include the ability to communicate, all right, with prospective clients, mentor your coworkers, lead a team, negotiate a contract, follow instructions. All right, follow instructions. That's a soft skill. All right, that's an example of a soft skill. And that's right there. That's a whole lesson within itself because when you go into that word doctrine in the scriptures, that word doctrine actually goes into instruction. Let me get that. Let's go to John 7. Yep. This is John 7:16. Um, it says, let me start up at 14. It says, "Now about the midst of the feast, Yahushua went up into the temple and taught. And the Jews marveled, saying, How knoweth this man letters, having never learned?" Right? Because, Yahushua, didn't go, to, he did teach, in the synagogues, and things of that nature. You know what I mean? But he wasn't brought up, all right, as a, doctor in the law, so to speak. You know, he didn't go, the mainstream route. All right, as far as some of the more, you know, um, notable men of that day, the Pharisees and Sadducees, things of that nature. All right, Yahweh Shai, you know, um, didn't go that route. He was seen as unlearned. All right, and also the apostles were seen as unlearned as well. That's talked about in the book of Acts. All right, but this is the point. Verse 16, it says, Yahushua answered them and said, my doctrine is not mine, but his that sent me. Right? Letting us know that everything that Yahushua gave to us, all the instructions that he gave to us, was directly from the Heavenly Father himself. All right? He wasn't freestyling, all right, the doctrine. Okay, but that word doctrine, I want to grab that real quick. It says, let me play it.
Strong's G 1322. Didache.
Right. It says teaching that which is taught, the act of teaching, instruction. Right? Instruction. All right. So again, the ability to follow the instructions that we've been given from Yahweh Shai. All right. Following instructions, that alone, that's a soft skill. All right. That's a spiritual thing. All right. Some people don't have the ability to follow instructions because they don't have the right spirit. It takes a certain spirit to follow instructions and to keep following instructions. All right. Even when you may not agree with those instructions. All right. And that's kind of what, they go into in this clip in camp. So let me see if there's any more I want to get on this. It says hard skills are measurable and usually obtained through formal education and training programs. Workers with good soft skills can help companies achieve higher levels of efficiency and productivity. In contrast to hard skills, soft skills are more difficult to acquire through training. Okay. So without further ado, let me just go ahead and jump right into this video.
No, that's why these other Israelites that hate the word kept and they wanderers, we call them wanderers. They find excuses not to be under any order. They just wonder why I'm doing that. Okay, so you're doing your own thing. Okay, who are
Right. They don't want to follow instructions.
the prophets? Who are the leaders you follow? Yeah. Oh, you don't know? Okay, so nigga, you follow yourself? It's still an order. The Lord still got his man on the earth. Just like back in the house time, there still was a body there. Even though you had all these other Israelites doing their own thing, having their own doctrines, disagreeing with certain things in the doctrines and trying to make their own little movements. There's nothing new under the sun. Okay, you still got to find out who the men of the Lord, because if you don't know who the men of the Lord are, if you don't have any idea, well, you ain't in the truth because you're not paying attention. The Lord said, my sheep hear my what? My voice. So you gonna know. All right.
Yeah, go ahead. Ephesians 4, verse 11. It says, and he gave some apostles, and some prophets, and some evangelists, and some pastors and teachers, for the perfecting of the saints, for the work of the ministry, for the edifying of the body of Yahushua.
Right, the edifying. So if you're a wanderer, okay, how you gonna know where is your foundation? Because the foundation is Yahushua. Yahushua has a body on the earth. Who is that? It's just nobody. Everybody can do whatever they want to do. It's nobody. Well, that doesn't match up to the generations of old. Does that match up to how the Lord operates? And that's complete confusion. That means we're just Israelites following ourselves. The Lord ain't dealing with the Lord's like, hey, everybody wake up and do your own thing. It's not how that works.
And if I can just add on to that, people often forget that the Lord is actually building something. Okay. All right. He's building the spiritual temple. All right. He's rebuilding the house of David. Excuse me. He's rebuilding the house of David. All right. And with that comes an actual, all right, blueprint, okay, a plan, all right, order, instructions. The Lord is actually building something. A lot of guys, a lot of people in general, when something, people get real caught up in trends and in fads, all right, and they get, they ride the wave, so to speak. They see something that catches their attention and they just start just freestyling. All right, but that's not what Yahweh Hashem Shai has set up with this truth. You know what I mean? And that's what they're breaking down.
Thank you. It's never been that way. That's why they look at GMS crazy, because we pinpoint that and we break it down and we don't budge. No, it's one body on the earth, not one body, but one body on the earth that the Lord is dealing with. Okay? Do you have other guys here who might not go by the name GMS, but they follow the doctrine? Cool. Okay, we break that down too. All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
It's Romans 12, and I'm gonna start at 4. For as we have many members in one body, and all members have not the same office. So, as it says, all the members do not have the same office. So there's levels to this thing, man. Disrespecting, learning under the apostle and the elders of Ray Millstone, man, and then falling out or whatever, getting disgruntled or whatnot, and then going out and preaching against them, man. That's not a smart thing to do, man. Because Yahweh Hashem Shai set those men up to preach this word, man. They've been preaching this word damn near before majority of the Great Millstone today was even thought of, man.
Hey, don't act like women. Yeah. Don't act like a bitch, man. At the end of the day. Because that's what women do. They with a man of the Lord, they get familiar, they act like he in the middle of the Lord. He done taught them everything. Now they trying to buck up and trying to beat a competitor against them. Right. Like the Lord, now because you learn a lot, now the Lord ain't speaking to me no more. Because you disagree with something. Right. See, that's what these guys do. So they disagree with someone. They feel like they've been wrong. Okay? But guess what? Let me tell you a secret about in this truth. There's a time where you have to be secretly right.
And that right there is what inspired me to do this lesson, because it's a very true statement. All right, let me go back and play that part again, because this is something that you really have to be spiritual to understand. It's something that you have to see the bigger picture in order to really understand what he's saying. Let me go back.
Now they trying to buck up and try to beat a competitor against me. Right. Like the Lord, now because you learn a lot, now the Lord ain't speaking to me no more because you disagree with something. Right. See, that's what these guys do. So they disagree with someone. They feel like they've been wrong. Okay? But guess what? Let me tell you a secret about in this truth. There's a time where you have to be secretly right. If you're spiritual, you know what that means. There's a time in this truth you're going to have to be secretly right. The Lord going to test your integrity. Okay, it didn't go your way. Okay, now you got to deal with it.
Right. And the scriptures talk about that. Sirach, the 2nd chapter, is one of the main ones. My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptations. Roughly paraphrasing, right? And temptations, which that word temptations goes into trials, right? Being tried, all right, in many various ways, right? Those temptations can come in all different type of forms, one of which being what the elder is breaking down right now, right? It can be something as subtle as the Lord wants to see how you're going to react, all right, to a certain situation. Case in point, all right, how you're going to react when you feel like you're right about something. All right, how are you going to react, right, when you disagree, with something a brother tells you, all right, or with something that, anything, all right? The Lord wants to see how we're going to react to certain situations, You know what I mean? That's the point.
Now, are you gonna lash out like a female, or are you gonna trust the Lord for him to earn it out?
Bob and Slakia, I'm gonna grab a quick precept. This actually came out. I actually brought this out the other day, but I'll bring it out again. I believe it's Sirach 27. I believe it's Sirach 27. Bear with me. This is Sirach 27:5. It says, "The furnace proveth the potter's vessels, so the trial of a man is in his reasoning." Right? And let me click on that word reasoning. It says reasoning, the action of thinking about something in a logical and sensible way. All right, let me see on that word reason. Right, but basically, let me read that one more time. It says, "The furnace proveth the potter's vessel, so the trial of a man is in his reasoning." Right, so Yahweh Shem Yahushai is trying to make manifest, all right, or trying to reveal how people think, all right, their mindset, all right, their train of thought, all right. And again, a lot of times you will be in situations where the Lord will be trying to see, how you're going to react, or how you're thinking, your thought process, and a lot of the things that are happening, all right, in Israel, you know, as far as guys bucking up against the doctrine, guys, talking against, the elders and apostles. All right, it's being made clear that their mindset, their way of thinking is way off. All right, it's way off. And usually, based off of what I've seen, most of the time it occurs when people are either offended or they disagree with something, whether it's a large disagreement, so to speak. All right, as far as like, if they don't believe the MOTB is the actual implantable, all right, charagma. All right, that's more of a bigger, dispute in doctrine. But even if, somebody doesn't agree on something smaller, that small disagreement can turn into something much larger, all right, if not checked, if not controlled and regulated. And that goes into the soft skill that I put on the lesson title, self-regulation. All right, and I'm going to get into that in a second. Actually, let me go ahead and grab it right now since I said it. All right, self-regulation. This is one that I found. It says self-regulation is defined as the mental processes we use to control our mind's functions, states, and inner processes, right? Our reasoning, It says, or self-regulation may be defined over control of oneself. It may involve control over our thoughts. All right. And that's really the point right there. It may involve control over our thoughts, emotions, impulses, appetites, or task performance. All right. So, again, self-regulation, all right, which is synonymous with self-control. All right. But everything, as we know, everything is spiritual. All right. First. So everything starts, really within. All right. And then it manifests, all right, in our actions, in our words, but self-regulation is a self-control, all right, is a soft skill that is being developed, in this truth. All right. And also humility is a big part of that as well. So let me go ahead and actually grab my other precept. This is 1 Peter, the 5th chapter. I'll start at verse 5. It says, "Likewise, ye younger, submit yourselves to the elder. Yea, all of you be subject to one another, and be clothed with humility." Right? And in order to do those things, it takes humility, like it lists, and it takes self-control. All right. It takes self-regulation. You have to be able to check yourself. You got to be able to control yourself, and understand that this thing is a lot bigger than any one of us. All right. The Lord is, building, or the Lord is assembling, all right, the governing body of the heavens and the earth for the world to come. All right. And we can't even wrap our mind around the ramifications of that. All right. But let me read that again. It says, likewise, ye younger, submit yourselves unto the elder. Yea, all of you be subject one to another, and be clothed with humility. For Yahweh Shem Shai resisteth the proud, and giveth grace unto the humble. Right? So again, like the elders going into in the clip, I'm gonna go back and play it again. Right? There's a time in this truth where you have to be secretly right. All right. You may be right about something. Okay. So what? So what? Like that's the question. Are you like sort of like we read earlier, knowledge puffeth up. Just because you're right about something, just because you know something, what does that really mean in the grand scheme of things? But again, the Lord giveth grace unto the humble, right? And grace goes into favor. All right. So verse 6, it says, humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of Yahweh Shem Shai, that he may exalt you in due time. Okay. Humility. All right. So let me go back to this video.
Let me tell you a secret about in this truth. There's a time where you have to be secretly right. If you're spiritual, you know what that means. There's a time in this truth where you're going to have to be secretly right. The Lord going to test your integrity. Okay, it didn't go your way. Okay, now you got to deal with it. Now, are you going to lash out like a female, or are you going to trust the Lord for him to earn it out? So you got to grow in this thing. Everything ain't going to go your way. Okay? There's times you can be like, no, I'm not wrong. Absolutely fucking not. Right. All right? We all done went through it. No way. But guess what? The Lord would test you to see, do you trust in him, or do you trust in your ego?
And again, back in that First Peter, all right, let me read that again. Right? It says, humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time. Right? In due time. Right? So the Lord wants to see, all right, do you really believe that, all right, he's watching? All right, ultimately, the Lord sees everything. All right, whatever you feel is not, right. All right, the Lord is going to iron all that out. We don't have, it's not about, being right all the time, but that takes a mindset of a, team, and that makes me think back to, if you play sports, for example, if you played sports, or, I can only speak for myself, you know what I mean? But when you play a team sport, a lot of times there are going to be disagreements, but depending on the situation, let's say you're in a game, all right, let's say you're in a game, all right, and your quarterback, or somebody on your team, made a mistake, is right now in the middle of the game. All right, is that the appropriate time, all right, to bring all that out? All right, or would it be more beneficial, to set that to the side, encourage the brother, and keep moving, because, all right, you're in the middle of a game. You know, these are things that, you know, you got to think about, you know. But let me go back to the video.
Pride goes before the fall. Okay, a lot of guys gonna get cast out, not because a man said so, because the Lord took the spirit down to make it happen. Because they was hooked on that ego. It was all about them. All right? Go ahead.
Because you was going into how pretty much it's a specific doctrine, it's a specific way that is going to be taught on the planet Earth that's going to be correct.
Yeah.
You're going to have various different people teaching that they're Israelites, but there's only one doctrine that's true, right? Now check this out. Romans 16 and 25. Now to him that is of power to establish you according to my gospel. Now this is the Apostle Paul saying something that's very personal. He didn't say, not to him that is of power to establish you according to any gospel. He said, now to him, Yahweh Shai, that is of power to establish you according to my gospel and the preaching of Yahweh Shai Mashiach, according to the revelation of the mystery, which was kept secret since the world began, but now is made manifest. And by the scriptures of the prophets, according to the commandment of the everlasting power, made known to all nations the obedience of faith. But you see how specific he said? He said, the Lord established you according to my gospel. Because there was what? At this time, you had something called Judaizers on the scene. Those individuals who were believing.
And that's pretty much all I wanted to get on this particular lesson. You know, again, in the beautiful camp. You know what I mean? But, you know, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. With that, I'll say shalom.